Hey, what's up? My name is Aryan, and this is my second video essay on the topic of Minecraft. And when I made the first video, which is why Minecraft is flawed, I promised myself that I wouldn't touch the topic again unless I had something important to add, and I'm confident that I do. I think I found the missing link and I know how to fix it. I posted why Minecraft is flawed and it reached a wider audience than my other videos. It peeled apart and the comments were split into two distinct categories. Those who sung praise and believed I had put into words exactly what they were thinking when they quit Minecraft. The other group was those who believed that Minecraft didn't need balance or progression or improved game mechanics because the game's point was simply to be creative. There are those who view Minecraft as a game, and there are those who view Minecraft as a sandbox. Or to put it into more technical terms, there are the extrinsically motivated and there are the intrinsically motivated. We need to view them as two groups, but more accurately, they're two extremes on a spectrum. Do you act because it's personally rewarding to do so, or because you seek to earn rewards and avoid punishment? I think it's safe to say that younger audiences have far more intrinsic motivation than older audiences. I think it's the fact that Minecraft's original audience, the class of 09, has aged 10 years since then, and I think it's part of the reason why so many of them have become distant from Minecraft. They're far less intrinsically motivated and far more extrinsically motivated, and that's where Minecraft is weak. Though intrinsic motivation may be relevant to a game's worth, it is irrelevant to a commentary on game design. Suggestions for where the game might go, though, there it becomes a lot more important. The problem I believe Mojang faces is that while you can provide additional intrinsic motivation with new blocks, colors, commands, and such without disadvantaging the extrinsically motivated, the reverse is not true. If you increase extrinsic motivations, if you remove beds to reintroduce the fear of the night, then it alienates the intrinsic audience. How do you fix Minecraft's flawed game design without in some way hurting what Minecraft's so uniquely good at? Well, you'd think by telling the intrinsic crowd to sort of back to creative mode and that survival mode be about survival, but this isn't a viable solution. This is a case where the two groups model is flawed, and you have to consider people a little closer to the middle. I'm now aware that there isn't pleasure in having made the journey from nothing to something. There's a satisfaction in having collected the building blocks literally of what you intend to make. Well then, tell them to play in peaceful mode and that'll be that. Just turn off the danger if survival doesn't please you. But isn't there a pleasure in having to fight to some degree for what you've collected? Perhaps it's more rewarding to rid an ocean monument if there's something there that doesn't improve. I think easy survival mode today services the intrinsically motivated very, very well. So making drastic leaps in any aspect of survival to service the extrinsically motivated will inevitably disadvantage some. And that's what necessitates a distinction between a true survival mode and whatever it is we have now. In Why Minecraft is Flawed, I argued that today's survival mode shouldn't be called survival and that it was an inappropriate title. So we'll have to rename it. Well, I wouldn't have made this video if I didn't think I had a solution, but given the scale of the situation, it's certainly worth understanding the critiques of why Minecraft is flawed. One comment I got was you don't understand Minecraft or something along those lines, and was from an intrinsically motivated player who believed that the point of Minecraft was just creative expression. I never intended that video to be an evaluation of Minecraft as software, simply to be a focused criticism of Minecraft as a game, but I cannot deny that I didn't even consider the intrinsic side for any more than 15 seconds when making that video. I certainly identify with that crowd who have drifted from the initial creative appeal. What do those people see that they think I don't? Well, I've always seen it, but have taken it for granted. We've all heard the talk, Minecraft is a creative sandbox where the only limit is your imagination. At this point, we're no longer talking about a game, we're talking about a sandbox. The intrinsically motivated's objectives are their own, and that's why it's so hard to consider when you're not among them. Minecraft is a canvas, the world is your palette, but maybe that's a problem. What good is a painting of a castle? They say Minecraft's only limit is your imagination. I disagree. You can realize anything, but only in form, never in function. What good is a castle with no men to guard it, with no king to rule it, with no enemies to attack it and no people for it to protect? What good is a ship if you can't sail it? What Minecraft truly lacks is simple: dynamics. A dynamic system is a system of cause and effect. AI reacting to the player, AI reacting to other AI. For example, villagers going inside when it's rainy is an example of a dynamic system. Animals reacting to seasons if they existed would be another. All combat is dynamic. Now, since dynamic systems typically intertwine with one another, like an ecosystem of mechanics, a very small action can cause a very large effect, as if the reactive gameplay and decision making found in combat were blown up to a world scale. For example, if I were to burn down a forest, then a village dependent on that forest couldn't burn logs in the winter so they die of cold, so the rivals get a larger share of resources so they thrive. That's an incredibly profound effect. Imagine how a skilled player could play strengths in just the right way to get the most out of any situation. Imagine how deep and interesting and expressive such gameplay could be. Properly incentivize it and you've got your extrinsic players satisfied. But the thing is with dynamics is that they're so good at making a world feel alive that perhaps it was short-sighted to believe that I couldn't critique Minecraft's intrinsic factors. If we play our cards right, I think we can not only make Minecraft a deeper game, but also expand the creative sandbox tenfold. That is my goal today. Dynamic game mechanics will be properly incentivized and their use will allow for creative expression. As per their nature, they will never be forced upon the player. So where do we start? 1.14 was the Village and Pillage update. Let's do it again. First, we expand. Villages require resources and they harvest them sustainably where they can. Every villager will actually do their job, not just for cosmetics, but because the group needs them to. Additionally, villages will have relationships with neighboring villages and a reputation mechanic, taking any observed action from the player into account. You factor in primarily through hiring. You can now buy villagers' loyalty with high rep, emeralds, or pledges of protection. See where this is going? Jobs on offer are entirely under player control, though there would be a preset menu for simplicity's sake, but you can find control timing as the activation prerequisites in the target. Logical, refined UI design. Perhaps defining deforestation zones with markings on a map, and blueprinting buildings with an upgrading scaffolding system. You could have them hunt spiders but only at night, mine gold but only during the day, or stand in a specific spot and only engage mobs within a 15 block radius. Any action you can do, they can. You need only assign a bed, chest, and the right payment. With this simple expansion, options expand 1,000-fold. If villages can pledge loyalties, then surely the player can build their own country. If villager housing is under our control, then we can bring our own cities to life. Now we can man a castle with archers and warriors. We have a citizenry to protect. Let's demonstrate a couple more possibilities. In my vision, villages would always gather resources sustainably where possible. But what if two villages are in competition? Along the player might come to burn down the rival village, ensuring their own survives, but one villager jumps on a horse and bolts. They warn the neighboring villagers of your villainy. That's going to shoot up the emerald price of loyalty. So let's play it smarter. Pillagers still exist. We'll find a camp, burn it down, and get bad omen. Now we simply waltz on into the rival village to trigger a raid. The pillagers are attacking, so you can't be held responsible. But let's go further. We allow the pillagers to raid for a little while, but then we step in, perhaps even with a couple soldiers. We save the rivals, and for doing so we're viewed as the hero. Loyalty in the bag. They'll never know it was us who orchestrated the attack in the first place. Let's think about even more possibilities. Villages require resources to survive. So maybe we brew a plague that only affects pigs. We lace it on arrows and we shoot it into their pig pen at night. Perhaps that forces the huntmen to go into the nearby woods, which is where we've set a trap. Perhaps we could break the village walls at night, allowing monsters to pour in and do the job for us. Of course, every empire falls. If you take a brutal approach to amassing your subjects, the reputation might cause all non-loyal villagers to band together under their own flag. They might just do it to challenge your power. An enemy army would raid your less defensible settlements, and unless you put a stop to that, they'll come in full force to your largest. Just like that defensible building becomes logical, a castle can serve its function. All those soldiers you trained, well, they're put to the test. Can you imagine being killed in a siege and having to raise another army to take the castle you built back? Can you imagine the tactics? And let's get this straight. This AI we're talking about, it's not some next generation alien technology. It's been done. Just never in a game with this much potential. The question then becomes, why? Why make an empire? Sure, it's cool, it's rewarding, but power for the sake of power is intrinsic, not extrinsic. What's the point? That's where the new dimensions come in. Aether, Twilight Forest, some kind of Lovecraftian nightmare. Doesn't matter. as long as it's otherworldly. We'll need our resources to thrive in the new dimensions and kill their associated bosses. Why? Because we fixed the beacons, which also gives the Wither a more pronounced purpose. With a big enough pyramid, or perhaps with enough materials, the beam opens a portal in the sky, just like Avengers. For once, this would be an extrinsic goal that isn't just more content, more to see or more to do, because it allows for intrinsic creative expression. You build your settlements however the hell you want. You can come up with any creative plan you want to gain loyal followers or destroy your enemies. We've got to be careful though, because the entire point of what we're doing here is expanding the game without hurting anyone, so it's important to allow players not to participate. Survival is no good for choice, because if you choose not to survive, you just sort of die. Conquest will always allow for you to not pursue it. You don't have to get to the portal. You're not going to be bullied by any of the new systems. You're not going to come back to your little wooden house one night and find it's been burnt down by barbaric villagers, unless you do something major to piss them off. If we're introducing new cosmetic blocks, chuck them down in the nether. That's not our difficult dimension. The other thing we don't want to do is take away all the focus from mining and exploration. What's important for a sandbox is freedom. And that means that this command and conquer village dynamic is not the only way forward. Firstly, let's not drown ourselves in automation. You can't ask a villager to pop out a perfect castle, but they can slowly replicate things like walls or standard village housing. Secondly, mining. We're getting a cave update soon, and I think it's great. We can have an ore spawn in the deep dark that if gained in a reasonable amount can power the beacon and send you to the new dimension as well. The final type of gameplay to look at is indeed exploration. First things first, let's at the very least give the expression of a breathing dynamic world. Winds gotta blow, animals have gotta migrate and travel in more believable numbers, predators gotta be more plentiful and have better AI, birds gotta chirp. Let's just straight up rob more creatures' horses. There's gotta be seasons. Mods have proven how beautiful that can be. And animals in this case could dynamically react to that. You could have a bear in a cave hibernating for winter, or a hibernating squirrel that'd pop out of a tree if you break it. So how does this get our beacon? Well, if you find the right type of carrot, no, I'm kidding. Mojang are already doing it with woodland mansions and ocean monuments. There would be a wealth of new and rare dungeons that get you better and better loot. I'm talking good loot, Terraria type loot, Deus Ex type upgrades, not just basic stat boosts. Each one contains a map to either a dungeon of similar quality or higher quality. Follow the maps for long enough and you'll eventually find yourself at, let's say, Herobrine's castle. Fight through it, kill this white-eyed whippersnapper himself, and you'll get resources good enough to open the portal. You could of course make this siege easier with hired villagers. So we've expanded upon the sandbox and integrated every such system into our game design. What do we do after we've accessed the portal dimension though? Will it just be a chain of tougher and tougher dimensions? We can't replicate these systems for every one, can we? No, I don't think we can. I think whatever dimension the portal leads to has to be near enough to end, because progression will get repetitive and you will get bored. So how do we integrate the end? I mean the literal end into this equation. It'll make no sense if there's a tougher dimension than the end, because the end is the end. Well, I've moved it. Remember Dark Souls? Keep that in mind. In the portal dimension, there's a boss, and among the many rewards for slaying that boss is a ring. In this version of Minecraft, bedrock is breakable, so we break it, and down we fall into the abyss. At any other time, you just fall out of the world and die. But with this ring equipped, we continue to fall and fall and fall until we reach it, the end. I'm trying to go for something intimidating here. So no more of this ugly cheese looking rock. Trees made from shadows sounds cool, and as you'd expect, the Ender Dragon is still there, but most certainly is the end poem. I think the meaning of the end poem is a beautiful reward in itself, and an extrinsic reward might undermine it. But let's stick to abyssal weapons and armor in the end cities as the true endgame gear. But what our approach hasn't done is provide extrinsic motivation through survival gameplay, as some might have expected. I think my first video gave a few people the impression that the only way Minecraft can provide extrinsic motivation is with survival, like we saw in Alpha, or perhaps it's the way Minecraft should. But Conquest works just as well. Terraria has proved that, but it just doesn't feel the same. Even if we can elevate Conquest progression, does that mean we should abandon the goldmine that is survival? No, it'd be an insult to the game's history and its potential. In my perfect world, we'd see 4 game modes. Conquest, which is the survival mode we have today, with all our added systems, so what we just discussed. Adventure, which is just today's survival mode. Creative mode, obviously, and it's a new survival mode, which I don't have enough time to get into right now, but it'll basically just be only about survival. Permadeath remains toggleable for hardcore playthroughs. We can also provide an option to turn off hunger, except for survival mode. It can also slow creative processes down. The goal of this video was to present what I believe is a design philosophy that Minecraft needs. It's not my random ideas or for content structure that's important. It's the path Minecraft should be walking in the future. What we're sitting on is truly an unimaginable goldmine of potential. Over the years, over the decades, whichever way Minecraft goes, people will continue to find ways of surprising us. Bringing something as important and as beautiful as Lego to the digital mind-place has in many ways made Minecraft more than a video game. Let's see how high it'll reach. Anyway, I believe I haven't said anything too controversial in this video, so there won't be anyone having a verbal stroke in the comment section. My name is Aryan. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all later.